easiest place to step into this, because it's big, is to acknowledge that you are, each of you, an eternal being. And that because you are eternal, you like the leading edge. And the leading edge is where thoughts turn to things. The leading edge is where the contrast produces the desire, and the focus allows the results, and the results are what you call tangible, real life, see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it, physical manifestation. Everyone who has been physically focused, who is now non-physically focused, is very interested in what's going on here on the leading edge. And there is an absolute continuity among all of that. You don't live one physical life experience. You are non-physical energy expressing yourself. You like balance and you like understanding, and so you do choose different environments in which to immerse yourself, to activate different aspects in order to launch different rockets, because it's just really, really fun to do that. But the difference between how it is seen from non-physical and how humans mostly want to see it is that there's not this pattern or path or pre-assigned prerequisite. It is really spontaneous, in the moment, inspired creation. That's what you come for. In other words, if we could encapsulate the attitude that the consciousnesses that you are holding or focused upon as you are making the decisions to come into this physical experience, it's more like, well, this should be fun, let's see how this goes, than it is, boy, I'm going to get it right this time. Because you know that there isn't any getting it wrong, that it is expansion. And this is what you really know. You know that you are love expressing, and that you might in this lifetime connect wholly with that idea so that it just keeps recycling with you in this physical body. And you also know that you may return to non-physical before you remember that again. But you don't see that as any big problem, because you all know, 100% of you know that 100% of you are going to return to who you really are, and that it was all of value, that it was all of value. And that's why it is so easy to not have regret from the non-physical perspective, because you understand that it is all of value. Sometimes people are appreciative of us because of the clarity and the answers that we offer. But if it were not for the clarity in the questions that you offer, then this would not have been summoned. In other words, we really are all in this together. And the wanted into the stick and the absence of what is wanted into the stick are all part of the experience. And so, what's the goal? What's the goal of life? What's the objective? To live. It's the active, in the moment experience of becoming, of continuing to become. And so, yes, of course, everything that you've lived before is part of the platform of that which you now are. But none of you came into these experiences intending to recall past lives and pick up where you left off, because it is not like that. Because you're not climbing the rungs of a ladder. It's not like that. People come up with these ideas, like they come up with the idea of luck, because they can't figure out how life works. And the only reason that people can't figure out how life works is because they're trying to figure it out based upon what they're seeing with humans living, instead of calibrating to the true liver of the life that is them. That's why we spend almost all of our conversation wanting to help you to feel the wholeness of who you are, because it's only in knowing the wholeness of who you are that you can understand what this part of you is about right now. And so what you want to talk about is all these parts of you, all these parts of you, all these parts of you, all these parts of you. And what we want to talk about is this part of you that became because of all these parts of you, but it's this That's why we say there's no regression. If you go back and try to figure out another life that you've lived, that's regression. That's trying to regain a perspective in a different time with a different set of different people with different bags of marbles. In other words, it's like trying to understand your parents or their parents, or even to make sense of your own childhood. In other words, you just cannot perceive from other than where you now stand. And the biggest part of that, the reason that you cannot perceive very far from where you now stand, is because your inner being will not go back. That's the thing that is the biggest difference between human tendencies and non-physical intentions. Your inner being is not looking back, always looking forward to the becoming of what you've already set into motion. Because the path of least resistance is the becoming. It's what's becoming. That's where the flow is. That's what's natural, you see. And so we never talked about past lives with anyone. The story that you are reminding us all of is Jerry and Esther landing in Boston many, many years ago, not long after Esther had begun receiving us. And as they were landing, we offered a very soft thought to Esther. And she was in such a blissful place, she got right hold of that. And the thought was, you're really going to like Boston because you've lived here before. In fact, it was your last place of physicality. And Esther said, guess what, guys? This was Tracy and Jerry. Her daughter and Jerry were with her. This is where I was last physical. And we said, all of you. It's where you were last in physical form. And Esther said, who was I? Jerry said, who was I? Tracy said, who was I? I said, you'll know. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. They made their way to their hotel. They dumped off their things and went right out to the streets. We said, when you stand before the statue that is you, you will know. We were famous. The statue. So off they went, out into the darkness, standing in front of statues. There's a lot of them in Boston. And when they stood before the statue of Samuel Adams, all of them at the same moment, in the same voice, said, I was Samuel Adams. And then they looked at each other. What is wrong with you? I was Samuel Adams. And we said, the energy that is now in the three of you was the same energy that was in Samuel Adams. And so we said, we'll show you your favorite place to eat. And so Esther's wearing 6-inch heels, and she's scraping through the cobblestones. Down this place, down this place, down this place. Jerry said, I don't think we want to be back here in this dark, dark place. And we stopped and said, here it is. And on this old building was a plaque that said, Boston's first eatery. So, yeah, you can pick up on what you were before. But really, why? Why? You need to justify who you are now by who you were then? Really? You're going to make that connection? If Esther tries too hard to make that connection, they'll put her in the insane asylum. Most of the world does not want to know. Much of the world wants to believe that this is your one chance to get it right. And if you screw it up this time, then it's all over. In other words, most people don't want to know about the continuity of their experience. And we really don't want you to know very much about the continuity of your experience either, for this reason. We want you to focus on where you're going, not where you are, is the message all day long. So really, if we're not even wanting you to examine what you think is this now reality, we want you to look over here. You really think that there's value in looking before that and before that and before that and before that and before that? There is so much more awareness of who you are and what's around you and who others are. The deliciousness of life experience is so much more full than most people are in a position of understanding. And living in the now is understanding who you really are so that you can be aware of all that you are living right now. Where once you get the sense of who you are and you begin practicing looking at this moment and this moment and this moment through the eyes of Source, then there can be so much more satisfying convergences of people and ideas and experiences. Once you reach that place where you know that you are a collaborator and you allow yourself to collaborate with the whole of who you are, not the past of who you are. The present tense, which you want to call future tense, the present tense of who you are, that's when life is really, really rich. When an idea occurs to you at the same time that it occurs to several people at the table, and you've all been sitting there chewing, and then the idea just hatches within all of you because you have lovingly brought each other through your association and through your focus together into this place of utter allowance and connection to inner being, and then it's like you have one inner being. That was the reason that we presented that to Jerry and Esther and Tracy in that way. We wanted them to understand that consciousness is not linear like humans want to make it. It's a stream of consciousness. It's a stream of thought. You have access to so much more than you know that you do. And everything else is limiting. That's the law of attraction satisfying the bag of marbles that you've got. That's what it is. It's happening in the moment, precisely for you. In other words, these things that are connecting up are about your active vibrations going on. We want you to take away from this conversation the powerfulness of your focus, and how the energy that creates worlds is going to focus with you and through you for the most satisfying experience that you can have. And it isn't about who you used to be or who you will one day be. It's about what you're doing right here, right now, by allowing yourself to be a cooperative component to everything that matters to you right now. And everything that matters to you right now is not the same everything that's going to matter to you in the next moment, and the next moment, and the next moment, and the next moment. But this law of attraction and this worthiness that you've got, this blessedness that you've got, this reason for being, this creativity that you are, life is supposed to feel good to you. It's supposed to be so much fun. And it's not because others need to know it to revere you. It's not because you're climbing the rungs of a ladder. It's not because you're getting the marks on the chart. It's not for any other reason than that you are a creator. And before you got here, you said you were going to come here and do that. What did you say you were going to do? I'm going to feel good. I'm going to feel life. I'm going to expand. I'm going to know more. I'm going to be fresh and new. I'm going to interact with others. I'm going to uplift. I'm going to be uplifted. I'm going to have so much fun. And you also knew that this one life experience wasn't going to be enough for you to do it all. Because you understood something about physicality. You understood that physicality has some resistance in it, and then in time, you're going to get bogged down in keeping score of what you've created. So you said, I won't be there long. I'll stay while I'm fresh and frisky. So that's the question. How fresh and frisky are you? How much fun are you having? How much are you pushing against, or how much are you anticipating? You get to choose it all. Your physical apparatuses are restorative. They are renewed. You could stay in this body for a really long time if your interest in life was calling it through you and the peanut gallery wasn't clamoring and causing you to hold resistance. This is the thing that you're dealing with all the time. Source is calling you. Are you going? Source is calling you. Are you going? Or are other physical humans influencing you to wait? Maybe I should take more score. Maybe I should measure myself against others. Maybe I should catalog and pigeonhole myself and everybody else more. That's what bogs you down, is trying to be the law of attraction for everybody else. That's why we call Facebook nosebook. Trying to get involved in things that don't have anything to do with your own point of attraction. Yeah, you can probably tell that we are really not keen on talking a lot about what used to be. We're much more interested in not just what's in your vortex, but the thrill of you moving in the direction of what's in your vortex. The discovery, the anticipation, the adventure, the changing of your ideas, the blending with others, the joining with others who are also on this adventure. Manifestation of vibration is just so delicious if you let it be.